Carrying on where I left off on the first video covering 40th anniversary of the founding of Gilsoft with our first advert, I thought it'd be nice to pick up with what's happened since that those adverts in 1982. It was a range of products being developed, and we'll get on to the famous ones probably by chapter 3. I want to cover some of the very early products. I know we looked at Cecil in the first one, but there's quite a few others we did as well through that time, so we're going to take a look at the ones here, and really I'm going to look at about how far we'd got and what we developed in time for us to go to the ZX Microfair, the 7th ZX Microfair, Alexander June the 4th, and what we were selling there in that sort of period. So let's take a look. I've got some nice resources which I found as well, so be interested to look through those pile of folders I found that cover some of the earlier programs. So first one I'm going to take a look at is the visual processor. There's quite a bit in here, paperwork, so let's just take all that and have a quick look, shall we? See what's in here. Okay, so it's a sort of print. I think this must have been on the Secocia GP100, so we must have bought the Secocia GP100 by now for me to print this out to do an instruction leaflet, and chances are it may have been typed up on the Dragon. I don't know, yeah, possibly. I think we may have bought a Dragon computer by the time we produced this. All a single page, programming a microprocessor, all the same sheet of paper by the looks of it. So I had lots of these copied. I wonder what that was for. Handout maybe. Okay. And what's this? Oh, so this will be an actual draft of the manual probably. Yeah. Yeah, this is a handwritten draft of the manual. With a diagram of how the processor works. Basically, yeah. And a breakdown of every single instruction, all drawn, obviously based on some well-known ones. Some programs, some of a series, multiply, summary. Oh, it's okay, so this is probably the factual booklet that got produced. So is that typed or printed out? It obviously is on that printout. It's a reduced version of that printout, not the type in, by the look of it. No, that's typed, isn't it? That's, I don't know, it could be. It could actually be the earlier one. You have to look, maybe compare them. Are they close enough? On page 16. No, there's not enough pages, is there? No. So it's obviously a much earlier draft. Yeah, because I think these are typed on typewriter, so I probably produced this on an original typewriter. And originally it would have been called the Peak Computer by the looks of it. Lots of handwritten stuff. November of 82. So it's obviously been playing with this in the run up to Christmas. Intended for the 16K Spectrum. The TG1, which was going to call a processor. Graphic display of a simple micro. Now I think this was written for the ZX81 as well. I had a version of this for the ZX81, the visual processor. So it was obviously adapted from that. Okay. IMC1, 3 bits. Okay, so there we are. That's visual processors, it was called. Definitely. This was the advert from Popular Computing Weekly in March 1983, so the 3rd of March. So you can see we're still advertising Maisie Gold, which we've been selling for Christmas. Mongoose and Bear Island were Games Tape 1. And we had a new Games Tape 2 with Reversi and Poker Dice. And a Games Tape 3, Timeline and Tasks. Now, Timeline was the text adventure that Graeme had brought down and shown us when he came to buy those, I think it was a copy of Mesa Gold he bought because he was quite impressed, he said. And of course we got White Noise and Graphics and Cecil we were selling. So this was pretty much the range as it was, but we got quite a few retailers here. Cardiff Micro Centre, Bytewell, we're going to those. So Brighton, Morley, Dragon Bite, Port Talbot. and also mail from the software supermarket. So we're starting to build up a dealer network as well. The existing games had got new graphics for the covers. They were done by School Friends. This one from Stephen Harbron for the Bear Island Among Us games tape, renamed as Games Tape 1. And we've also got then a graphic for a newly added one, which is the Poker Dice and Reversi Games Tape 2, which was done by Andy Griffiths. Quite a stylish bit of art. You leveraged the printing technology that the local printer in the high street had, which allowed you to have multicolour by doing 3 or 4 passes. So you were limited in the sort of range of colouring you could use. But so that was where we were in probably around May, getting ready for the ZX Microfair. So let's take a look at the games being loaded. So this is side 1 of the Poker Dice and Reversi. And colour changing. I'm going to play now. You can play against either 2 players or you can play against the computer. So you've got L, C, P or E, line and column to place the piece. So P is to pass if you've got no taking move, and then E is to end or exit the game. So first player plays red, I believe. So you need to place a piece that will take a white piece in order to flip it over. There we go, that's the red piece placed. They'll take the white, there's sandwich between it. So little flash of thinking there. So keep going like that now. Feels like a little bit of a giant noughts and crosses. Okay. Okay, well that's enough I think. Okay, side 2 now loading. That's the Poker Dice. So similar sort of loading screen with the colour cycling. So draws this dice face, and I'm going to bet you £1. So the first roll rolls all 5 dice. Now you can select which ones to use, 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5. You can hold, well, roll dice or not roll some of them. So studying the pictures on the dice, I decide to roll the okay. Another I think you've got a limited number of things you can have on the dice, because there's only 6 sides obviously. There's not as many variations as there are with cards. I'm sure I had a set of real dice back in the 80s, which is probably where I got the idea from to do it. So I'm making a bit of a decision there about which to roll. Queen and the Jack. I think I'm going for 3 of a kind there. Okay, so I didn't win anything. Don't know why. So I've got a folder for white noise and graphics, which I'll have a quick look at in a minute. But I also thought maybe it would be good to actually look at the system itself. It came with a manual, which I have got a scanned copy of. So that's white noise and graphics. Comes with instructions for loading on a 48K or a 16K. I assume I must have made the code relocatable or something. So each of these things now sets up some routines to do all sorts of things, moving graphics around, moving the screen around, making sounds and so on. So I'm gonna, it's quite a long manual with lots of examples in it, and doing characters and cassette control. Okay, it's nice to see what's happening on the cassette port as well. So how to do it, and of course you could give it away with your software. It had no restrictions, so we would enter that quite early on. So I'm going to take a quick example, and I will probably try and do one of the pixel move routines, and also a sound one. So let's give that a go and see what happens. Right, okay, so in order to, the first thing you have to do, according to this, is to load init. There we are. So I've loaded White Noise and Graphics 48K. Oops, Gilsoft 9800, which obviously is the setup for the graphics. You have to remember, so print at 21,3. So much easier to type on a real spectrum, isn't it? Oh, this is bonkers. This is bonkers. I'll come back when I've typed it in, it's quicker. Okay, so I've typed it in. This should do the scrolling bit. So let's give it a run. There you go. Well, it works. So smooth pixel scroll. So you can just do a shift break. Of course you can, yeah. Right, well let's do an explode sound one as well then from the manual. Okay, so I've typed in the example from the manual from lines 1000 to 1130, and I've put a go to 1000 at the start, so we've still got the old scroll, and we've now got the sound making example, which is supposed to sound like a battlefield. So let's see how good the emulator does. Yeah, that's pretty good really for an emulator. And of course shift break will take us into the program. Oh well, fascinating. Yeah, that was White Noise and Graphics. So I also managed to recover the assembly language for it. I think this was actually real assembly language off of my assembler, and, although it looks like the labels were decoded, so maybe I actually disassembled it, I can't remember. But here we go. So quite a lot of assembly language, and I suspect I'm 99% certain I had an assembler to work on the Spectrum by then, although I'm not sure what it would have been written in. So subroutine to find a basic variable's name is in C. Very useful. It's obviously been a bit more commented. Yeah, this looks like it was done from a disassembly, but here we go, and we'll take a look at what's on that folder. Now then, the next one off the stack is White Noise and Graphics, which we were selling. I'm not sure. I'll have a look at some of the adverts, but may well have been out for early after Christmas. I think it was in time for Christmas of '82, and neither was that one. So we'll do the same, pull everything out. So same thing, some program documentation, copyright 1982. So Gilsoft, so I was obviously writing in '82. Contents. So this looks like it might be an attempt at a manual, all handwritten. Yeah, with some routines. Yeah, written in a very fine black pen, probably a Rotring pen. I used to have a lot of Rotring pens because I was an engineering drawing student. Okay, so addresses, the memory map for it. Okay, I assume that then translated into a manual. Yeah, again, that looks typed though, doesn't it? With the typewriter. I don't think we have the Secosia printer yet. Did I give the memory map? Address for each command, yeah. It's a bit simplified to my hand documentation. But yeah, so White Noise and Graphics, the pre-production and the production manual. What we got here? How the calculate, select. So this is all handwritten Z80 code done on lined paper. $16K White Noise and Graphics memory map. It's all hand done. I would have been mix of the debugger, maybe. I don't picturesque, possibly the assembler, but I don't remember having a picturesque assembler yet. This is probably all done before then. how it all moves, single pixel down scroll with lots of comments. Cool. A lot of writing involved back in the day of writing computer programs. Key scan program, white noise interpreter, that's how it takes a string in memory and generates the white noise sounds. We'll have a look at this program running as well, an explosion. So that's the data used for the interpreter. So you go there, it loads IX with the data pointer and then jumps off to the interpreter. So a very early version of an interpreter used even before Quill and Illustrator. Fetch program, contents of sound graphics, plot, point. I obviously intended to do some more stuff. Which, machine code variable locator. This one's used to locate any single letter variable. So I obviously made a search within it. Flowcharted it as well. Wow, and there it is. There's the bar program. So to find a variable location, hand assembled obviously. Clearing that, invert, borders, lots and lots of handwritten, and some ZX printer. I must have had a disassembler at the time, so this is probably off the picturesque. Explosion actually on a drawn again as a on a printer. And more code types. A lot of work went into this, looks of it. Cell wraparound. Oh, this is Life, I think. This is documentation for a Life game. By looks of it, is it? Take a cell, create a wraparound. Yeah, I think that's a bit of documentation for the Life program. Okay. Rectangle of colour. Yeah, probably reused a lot of routines here and there. Diagonal scrolls. Okay. Don't know how many of these actually made it into the final product. Run. It must be run to upgrade white noise and graphics. I don't know what it does. It must patch things. Window and clear. More scrolling. Colour down. Been looked at for quite some time there, so we colour right, clear again. Extra commands. It's the jump table fetching. Wow, there we go. A lot of handwritten notes about the creation of white noise and graphics. So the next product we're going to look at, this is an advert from April 1983 in Personal Computer Weekly, PCW. Now here we've got Extend Basic, which is the white noise and graphics stuff. We mentioned Magic Castle. Now we've got a folder for that, which we'll cover before the end of the video. So obviously Graeme's written the next game after the Timeline one. We haven't looked at Timeline and Tasks yet on GameStape 3. We're still selling Maze of Gold, but the big news is this one, SoftLink 1. This allowed you to adapt games like Arcadia and Penetrator to work with a Kempston joystick. So by May it's called White Noise and Graphics properly, with a bit of a collection of 20 routines, and it's getting and it was also pushing again the joystick conversion for SoftLink quite heavily in May. And another one here from Personal Computer News as well. We've still got the Cecil listed as well. So we're obviously pushing this SoftLink game program. Now, this is the cassette tape, and this is definitely printed on the Secocia printer, so we probably did have the Dragon by now, because they did come out in 1982, so we were definitely printing stuff on the Dragon for labels on the cassettes. Now, the news has picked up a little bit, so Kempston Microelectronics moving into software, be run as a separate software. And the first offerings on Android 1 and conversion tapes 1 and 2. Now these titles are big selling games from other suppliers. If you look at the list of content, KDF, Flight Simulation, they're all the same. And that's because conversion tape 1 for the from Kempston was actually SoftLink. They offered to buy out all our existing stock and a license to it, and it would, when we were working on for any future conversions. So interesting. I think they did a few of them in the end. So it's going to be a bit difficult to show that. If I can get time, I might try and get a conversion of it and show how they're going to be. Basically, load a little program. What we have got though is a folder with some documentation on it. So let's take a look at that, shall we? So let's take a look at another one. This is SoftLink. Now this was written over a long weekend. I think the idea came to me. Basically, it's not these games. It's a way of patching each of them so they could use a joystick from the Kempston joystick. So I've worked out where the keys were and what we got to do. So I don't know, has this got the hacks in it? So yeah, basically it looks at each of the programs like Arcadia and Penetrator. There's a little bit of a disassembly and pokes you needed to do. So it was a patch system basically that you could do. Let's go skiing, how it worked. So I took apart each of the programs, Flight Simulator, Machine Code Patch, wrote code basically then. Space Zombies, I didn't think that was included. And that's how it's done, how we mastered it, creation of it, the saving program. You basically load it like a little program first, and then it loaded the other one, the actual game afterwards. A bit more, and there's some assembly language listings from printed on the ZX printer. SoftLink 1, master save.sys, so that's the save program. Over here, master the verify program, and machine code for SoftLink. Have to do a bit more on it. Mastering, so big part of work is the mastering stuff and how it works. Blank sheets. Started looking at some other programs. Gulpman, SoftLink 2. So this is a list of ones we're going to do. So Shizoids from Imagine, Hungry Horace, Planetoids, Orbiter, 3D Tanks, Escape, Winged Avenger. Don't know how many I'd looked at them. We thought he was doing it for the fuller joystick as well. Well, a bit of a tail in that. SoftLink 2, so Mold 'em all. Obviously, you pull them all apart, all in red. What else we got? There's more printouts of stuff from the header data of it. How the keyboard and Arcadia worked. This looked like Spectral Invaders, Tobor, Elfin software. Don't remember that one. But Spectral Invaders. The cassette header information decoded. And this must be the Tobor documentation. Entry. Disassembly of it. All the bits that are relevant, I think. There's more ideas for SoftLink. Oh, there we are, the old address. Wow. Good grief. So that was SoftLink. Put it all back away tidy, shall we? Now I have got a PDF I've compiled with some early designs. Now this is the artwork for Timeline and Tasks. I'm not sure who painted that, but there's a draft of it. Seems to be drawn in my. That's my pencil work, so it could well be me who painted it and drew it. Not sure. And obviously one for the Diamond Trail, which we'll see later. We've seen the visual processor earlier. We've also got the cards which I talked about in the first episode about Typed Up. And we've also got in there the Made of Gold one we saw, and then of course the ones we've seen for Poker Dice. This was the one we've seen again for SoftLink and White Noise and Graphics. And we did have some early Magic Castle cards, which we'll look at Magic Castle in a while. And here was the very early Timeline and Tasks until we had colour produced cards for Timeline and Tasks with a couple of variations we were using for ZX Cecil. So apologies, it's a little bit blurry, but this is the Timeline and Tasks colour cover produced in the same style with Games Tape 3. Actually, it does credit cover design Andy Griffiths, so it wasn't me. I just sketched out what the layout would look like, but it was his artwork. Sorry, Andy, I thought it was a bit too good for me. Now, the next one off the stack is actually the not for Gilsoft. If at the time there was a shop operating pretty much out of his front room, actually. Bytewell, who set himself up as a software retailer and also fancied publishing, so asked me if I'd write an arcade game for him. So I had a crack at that because I'd never had to go on an arcade game. Well, I had, but not anything. So these are the notes I did for it. So Bytewell, Hidden City. These seem to be like diagrams. Oh, there they are. Look, hand drawn pencil of how the map would look. The maze bit, perhaps. Yeah. Some of the development program contents and the sprites drawings. I did it. There's pixel plot. What's on this? How to hold up, down. Goodness knows. Combination now, key and joystick scan routine. Okay, so you can do it with keyboard and joystick. Bound to do that, wasn't I? The white noise generator, probably based off of the white noise and graphics product we've done. And you probably have to just show you what I've got. Obviously, it was a lot of it then went on to be scrolling. Yeah, it's a lot of the same sort of routines that we used in that. Here's the letter it sent to Stan. The Note 4. This is on our old, show who that went to. That's from the white noise and graphics part of it, which we'll look at. And here's some more the numbers for the sprites to type in. All the different sprite designs. Aren't they lovely? How the character set worked, the explosions. Where all the different routines are, update missiles, clear missiles, some ideas for the loadings. Wow, loads of stuff in here now. Could do a whole episode on this, I think, including assembly listings. This starts to look like, I don't know if it's still using a picturesque, or have I switched to the HiSoft assembler by then? I don't know. Some screen dumps. The program, because it still used a basic routine to do the main loop, I think. And how the random number stuff did. There's lots in here. Probably worth an episode. Yeah, just taking the program apart. How the loops worked. Update gun position, hit, end, flowcharts for the game flow. Should make decoding it and disassembling it a lot easier. And it was. I also used White Noise and graphics in it. More scribbles. Attempt to draw the whole map out, maybe. Okay. Yep. There it is, so it's the whole thing. And some of the smaller graphics that UDGs that were used for making things. There's the explosion one. Fascinating. The initial cover for it was done like this. So So that was fairly straightforward. It doesn't give it quite well in this. It's how yellow it was. I've got a picture coming up. It was reviewed, so this was Home Computer Weekly in August of '83. It took a while for it to get reviewed, but value for money 75%, 3 stars. Can't moan, I suppose. There's some artwork that's obviously been drawn up for it, for Bytewell. I don't know by whom. Again, looks a bit too good for me, but could well have been, who knows. You can see how bright yellow the actual case was in this one of some of the earlier inlays. It was also listed in the Crash catalogue number 6, so adventure game with arcade shoot 'em up features, Hidden City, a million stories to tell which one was yours. And it was also in this one near the Crash catalogue. It's down the bottom with a bit more detail on it as well. Amazing caverns, fuel guns and rocket launchers. So of course at this time Crash was the software index listing. It was also covered in Crash in February and March 1984, which is obviously they've played it a bit now because they've gone through it. Don't give a rating though. Now the game eventually passed through to Central Solutions Limited, who listed on their Double Play Adventures, which was a bit unusual really because it wasn't an adventure game. It was on the back of the Sealed City, and you can see that here in the original Hidden City, Sealed City, but that was actually an arcade game. So, but yeah, I suppose it's sort of like an adventure as well, flying through the different caverns and parts. So that was what happened to Hidden City and my foray into writing for another company. So let's run it. Ignore the spelling errors, which always annoy me. So I was making use of my white noise and graphics routines heavily. I don't think there's any way to skip this scrolly bit. Complete with let's look at the map, Balman. Yeah, that's the keyboard picture, so you can see what you're going to do with up and down. So you can use Q and A for up and down, hold on the top keys, and anything on the bottom row for fire, and then left and right O and P, so QAOP. Okay, good. So, select difficulty 1 to 6. So let's play on 1. You can't seem to destroy that, but you can get blown up by the. You can take the. It does track you a bit heavily. I don't know how you're allowed to get away with it, but it just seems a bit jerky. It doesn't play like this on a real Spectrum that I remember. Maybe it's something to do with the emulator, but it doesn't look like you can get past the first cavern, does it? Oh dear. So it doesn't look like it plays so well. Is that because no? No, it's not because it's full screen either. Maybe do 6. Yeah, it just increases the number of bullets you're fighting. But again, it's just too jerky. Yeah, there's something wrong with it on an emulator. I have to put it on the Next and try playing it for reality. Maybe I'll play out on this video with it. Now, this one is the first sign, I think, of something that was written with the early adventure writing system from Graeme Yeandle. Now, he'd come along and bought a copy of Maze of Gold and maybe some other software by visiting the house, and I got talking about having produced an adventure game, and I said, oh, we'd like to take a look at it. I think there was 2 of them he'd done. There was Timeline, was it, and Magic Castle. Now, this folder actually is a bit more than it says, because I won't ruin it, but there's a lot of other stuff in here which is not just about Magic Castle. So we've got quite a bit in here that is just Magic Castle. It's obviously the original article from Ken about how the adventure system basically works. And there's a crib sheet for Magic Castle, and solve in it, and a typed out crib sheet and all paper. And I've obviously drawn some maps of the game. So we'll have a look through that folder in a bit more detail another day, because it's all adventure games that were done. But this is the sort of first sign of where we were going. Now, Timeline and Tasks has been out since very early on in the year. I mean, certainly the adverts in April seem to show it. But we didn't get a review until the September Home Computing Weekly. And they reviewed it here. It says the first part package Timeline. They seem to quite like it, 2-word vocabulary. On seeing that Task was yet another maze game, my first reaction was a groan, but it's rather different. So Taskmaster threatens your progress until you successfully complete an exercise in mental arithmetic, Simon Says, etc. So they gave you 4 stars and 80% value for money, which is quite surprising, but let's take a quick look at it. So first of all, we're going to load Timeline. Now, there was a later release of this, written by Gilsoft by GY, using a Quill Adventure system, and Graeme did later do a version of Timeline converted the database into the Quill, so you could see how it was written in the Quill. I think it was actually one of the demos we sent if you asked for a free Quill demo. So this is similar to it. Obviously, it's a simple verb noun adventure game, which you all will have seen, and make sure you use the green cross code to cross the thing. So you've got fields of sheep, sword taken into stone. So if I get sword, how, pull sword, get sword, oop, yeah, there you go. Let's go west, that's the bull. I have played this before. We need a lamp. So list, only one match left in the basement. Okay, so if we go down, there we go. Use match. Lamp a match a sword. Long time since I played this. Well, never mind. I'm going to get hungry in a minute anyway. So I need to actually go, it goes past the bull so many times, I think. Deep ditch east, because if you try and go east you can't go in that one, but you can use the ladder to go down so you can get the mushroom. Actually, this system only needed a wow, there you go. I just got hungry, so okay, river is south. Can't go south. Thought you had to be able to do the. Anyway, you get the idea. It's a text adventure. It's available online for you to go and play. So let's take a little look, shall we, at the other side, tasks. So I quit out of this. Are you sure you want to quit now? Yes. If you took 30, do you want to try again? No, I don't. And have a nice day. This program will self-destruct in 2 seconds. Okay, let's load the other tape. Using the same sort of style as I had for the Othello, Reversi as I called it. Press any key for instructions. There you go, except it can't be any key, it has to be certain keys, but looks of it. Cursor keys 5, 6, 7 and 8. Okay. Can't seem to move for some reason. Oh, there we go. Oh, I'm rubbish at things like this. Play the numbers game and change 1648 to 8461 using only plus, minus, star and numbers 1 to 9. I need to multiply by 4 probably, do I? 4 maybe. 6592. It's needed more than that actually. No, of course I get back to where I was. Silly. Don't look at my math skills. In fact, I'm giving up now. I've had enough. Let's look at what else Gilsoft did. I'm never going to be able to get it whole again now, am I? Let's just waste our stuff. Started off wrong there. Yes, I will have another go. Different position in the maze now. So I assume that 7 is up, is it? I can. I'm sure 7's up, isn't it? Yeah. Oh. Solve an anagram. Why the heck did I write a game like this? I'm rubbish at all these. Entrepreneur, nope. No N. Oh well, I was rubbish at that, wasn't I? Timeline and tasks. So let's take a look at the last game I know was available to take to the Microfair and was listed in the advert, to Chicos' Magic Castle and text adventure. Again, this was initially written by Graeme with his method that he had, which was used the assembly language, and we'll look at that I think in the next video. This is getting very long now already, but I did want to get as far as the Microfair in June of 1983. So we did get a review in Popular Computing Weekly. I'm not sure of the date. He liked this one, even though Keys didn't respond very quickly to being hit. The cover we've done before was another one by Stephen Harbron, and of course it was beautifully redrawn by Mark Hardesty in the Classic Adventure issue 2, and that just looks stunning. I think you really have it does the original artwork justice. So hopefully we can load the tape. Oh, J. Right, now again, this doesn't say written with Quill. There is a later release of it which was written with a Quill, and the game was moved on. And I think Magic Castle was a 48k game, whereas the timeline we saw earlier was only a 16k game. So now Quill wrote 48k games only, but you could use the method to write a 16k one if you wanted. So that was a subtle difference, but by then I think 48k is the most common. So it's the standard description of a noun. You're going to need good luck. Do you want to load a previous condition? No, I don't. So, pair of mittens, sign saying beware the booby traps. I'm not going to play Magic Castle through for you. If you do want to have a go, it is available online, and you should be able to enjoy it quite a lot. And if you're really struggling, there is a crib sheet. Look away now if you want. There's 2 mazes at least already. And if you wander around the dark, and the battery for the torch is in the treehouse, that's the first and last clue I'm going to give you. So when I scan from that sheet we store in the folder. So let's take a look at the Microfair, which was a sort of where we got to by June. In the May issue of Popular Computing Weekly, so the 5th of May, is Bytewell advertising their attendance at the 7th ZX Microfair. They went up with us to attend, and they're pushing the games with SoftLink, obviously, and our games. They like in Magic Castle, and I think I managed to get Hidden City ready for the Microfair, so they were listing that already. The magazine, this is the May ZX Microfair advert for the thing, when we asked you to phone Mike Johnson directly, leave a message on the answer machine. So adults for £1, kids under 14, 50p. So it's be held at Alexandra Palace on June the 4th. So over 40 years ago now. It's around July when I'm recording this. Here was our advert for it, and this was in your computer in June. So this is definitely what we would have been taking. Would have been SoftLink. Oh, there's an error there. 1. Maze of Gold, Games Tapes, so 1, 2 and 3, which we looked at. Magic Castle we looked at. Wides and Graphics we've done. Cecil we've done, which is the programming language. We did that in part 1. And our visual processor we've looked at. And we'd also listed in this HAL, which was another O-level teaching language. I won't have to find a lot about it, but I have recovered it and I've got the manual. I'll probably take a look at that in the next video, actually, because it was a submission from Stephen Bayliss, I think. So see us at the ZX Microfair. And of course, this is the my scan of my cover, which I've still got from there. So I just picked out a couple of key pages, really. 50p for the show guide. And the list of stands, if we look into here, there's some of the best names, best loved names of the industry. And here's us, Gilsoft on 2 and 3 with Bytewell next to us. But we're pretty clean. Silversoft had this whole range around by E with Abex, Macronics video software. So East London Robotics, look at them all. Great, isn't it? And then so E is down here, and if you look at the group 2 and 3, so that was us, basically opposite the men's toilets. But we pretty much had that stand every time we went to Alexander Palace. So you'd have found us here. Here's our list of the exhibitors with Bytewell in it, stand E3, presenting Hidden City. I thought I'd done it in time. Special show price of £5, and he took a lot of other software along as well. And some of the other big ones are there. So we must be on another page. Yes, we are. Here we are, by the fuller one, E2, 30 Ortham Road, variety of software, SoftLink 1. Okay, our old phone number 0446. God, that was before the barcode had a 1 on them. That line is sadly no longer in existence. If it is, it's been given to someone else, not us, so don't try ringing it. And of course, we bought a lot of, I think I actually bought some of the HiSoft software at that show. Now, this is a photo I took back in the day of Mike Johnson. This wasn't at the 7th Microfair, I think this was a later one. But those who went to the Microfairs will remember him well. And here was the report from Home Computing Weekly from June. Which does mention Gilsoft brought out white noise and graphics, screen commands, arranging the visual processor, timeline the tasks. 2 firms had tapes to make backup copies on the Spectrum, the Key from Keysoft and Zap from Scimitar. Quite where that's in a section with us, I don't know. But there we go. And the addresses of all the different people like Bytewell and Gilsoft listed in their special report. There we go. There we are. Richard Turner of Arctic Computing, which Graeme had offered to write some games for because he had a system for writing games. So they'd already done their Adventures A, B, C, and D based on the Ken Reed article anyway, if you look into the way the code works. So they didn't really have a need for it. So that wraps up this episode, I think. The next one we will look at the method tape, which I've discovered. That's the original way of writing games, which I used to write Diamond Trail. And then, of course, each of those 3 games were converted to what became the Quill. And we take a look at some of the earliest artwork and the earliest versions of Quill. But we've seen all of these games that were now presented in this case, which I tend to take along to any shows to see you at. So probably the next one I'll be at will be Zap on the Commodore 64 side. So hopefully see you there. And look forward to the next episode.